Welcome to the PHOENIX SANCTUM Knowledge Series. In this explainer, we're diving deep into something so many of you might be feeling right now, those persistent aches and pains that just don't seem to have a clear cause. We're going to explore a really fascinating and often overlooked link between that discomfort and a hidden ecosystem inside your body called the virome. So, does this sound familiar to you? You've got these aches, that stiffness, maybe even some strange nerve pain or joint discomfort. But there was no fall, no accident, no injury you can actually point to. You just have this feeling that something isn't quite right, and you're looking for real answers. And maybe you've already been to see someone and been told your pain is idiopathic, which, let's be honest, is really just a fancy way of saying we don't know what's causing it. Or maybe it's been dismissed as just normal wear and tear or stress. And those labels are so frustrating, right? Because they might describe the problem, but they don't explain why it's happening. Here at PHOENIX SANCTUM, we believe the answers are found when we're willing to look deeper. All right, let's get into our first section, the pain without injury. So if there isn't any obvious physical damage, what else could possibly be going on inside your body to create these sensations of pain? And this is where things get really interesting from our perspective at PHOENIX SANCTUM. Through our work with biofeedback scans, we've noticed a really strong and consistent connection. Many of these mysterious pain patterns show a resonance, a strong one, with what our system identifies as viral and virome-related frequencies. For us, this was a huge clue that opened up a whole new way of looking at this problem. Okay, so that naturally leads us to the big question, right? What exactly is the virome? It's time to meet this hidden ecosystem that's living inside every single one of us. Put simply, your virome is the entire collection of all the viruses, the bits and pieces of their genetic material, and even these virus-like particles that are a natural part of your body. Now, it's really important to get this next part. These aren't automatically bad guys. They're a normal part of our incredibly complex internal world. The real key is to understand the conditions that might allow them to shift and start contributing to things like pain and inflammation. We have to expand our view of viruses beyond just thinking about getting sick with a cold. They can exist in our bodies in a few different ways. They can be dormant or latent. Think of the herpes family of viruses, which are known to kind of hide out quietly in our nerve cells for years. Then they can be persistent, just maintaining a very low level of activity. We can also have what we call post-viral remnants, basically leftover pieces of their genetic code. And what's really fascinating is this growing area of research mentioned in journals like Frontiers in Microbiology about the overlap between viruses and our body's own communication systems. So this brings us to the real heart of it all. How can these different viral states actually lead to the pain that you feel? Well, there are several key ways this can happen, and they're really well documented. To make it easier to understand, let's break it down into three main pathways to pain. First up, you've got direct nerve interaction. A classic example is the varicella-zoster virus, the one that causes shingles. It can literally live inside your nerve cells and directly irritate or damage them, sending out pain signals. Second, there's this idea of immune system confusion. This is where your immune system gets tricked into attacking your own body tissues simply because they look a lot like a virus. And third, and this one is huge, is system-wide sensitization. This is where a viral presence can keep your whole body in a state of low-grade, chronic inflammation, which in turn makes your entire nervous system much more sensitive to pain. Now, check this out, because this table really brings it to life. You see that immune confusion or molecular mimicry we just talked about? Well, a perfect example is parvovirus B19, which can fool the body into creating pain that feels just like arthritis in your joints. Or think about cytomegalovirus, or CMV. It can contribute to that persistent low-level inflammation that just lowers your pain threshold overall, making everything feel more painful. This also helps explain that deep, persistent fatigue and muscle pain some people experience. And here's a quote that just nails that third pathway: the system-wide sensitization. It comes from the journal Frontiers in Cellular Neuroscience, and it mentions activated microglia. What are those? Well, think of them as the personal bodyguards, the dedicated immune cells for your brain and spinal cord. When they get activated by something like a virus, they can get stuck in the on position. This maintains a state called central sensitization, which science now recognizes as a major driver of widespread chronic pain. It's like your body's alarm system is stuck on high alert. Okay, now it's really important we pause here for a moment. I need to be absolutely clear about this. The information we're sharing in this explainer is for your education and information only. It is not and should never be a substitute for professional medical advice, a diagnosis, or treatment. You must always consult with your qualified healthcare provider for any health concerns. It's also important that you understand that our biofeedback scan interpretations are based on frequency resonance, not on diagnosing any kind of disease. Okay, so now that we have all that science under our belts, let's bring this all back to you and your experience here at PHOENIX SANCTUM. How do we start to decode what might be happening in your specific situation? Well, it all begins with your biofeedback scan. Right, so it's super important to understand how our two main steps work together. Think of it like this. The biofeedback scan is the identification step. Its job is to scan for and find those frequency patterns that are resonant with the Virome elements and inflammatory states we've been talking about. Then, your resonance session. That's the addressing step. In the session, we apply very specific frequencies that are designed to support balance and harmony within those patterns we found. So it's simple, really. The scan identifies and the session addresses. And that brings us to our final piece of the puzzle, the path to balance. So what does this journey actually look like? And what are some important things you should keep in mind as you move forward with us? One thing we really want to stress is that we always look at the whole picture. The virome might be a major clue, for sure, but it's just one piece of your unique puzzle. We're also looking at other potential pain drivers, things like mechanical issues, metabolic factors, and even something called nociplastic pain, which has to do with how your nervous system itself is processing pain signals. Our assessment is designed to investigate and honor your complete story. So as you start your resonance sessions, what might you actually feel or notice? Well, it's not uncommon to sometimes feel a bit more tired, or even notice a temporary uptick in your symptoms. And believe it or not, that can be a good sign. It often means your body is actively processing and responding to the frequencies. The real key here is consistency, because that's where many people notice a gradual improvement over time. You might also just become more aware of your own pain cycles, and that awareness is incredibly valuable information. So, we'll leave you with this one final thought to consider. Could it be that the unexplained pain you're feeling, the pain that seems to come from nowhere, isn't just a random symptom, but a meaningful message? A message from that complex, hidden ecosystem living within you, just asking for a little help to find its balance again. Thank you for joining us.